Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Enter the Apex, the podcast all about Apex Legends. I'm Garrett Winesroll, here as always with Kyle Ferguson, and we're coming to you a little bit later in the week than usual, but that's okay because, thank God, we have news now to talk about.
The last thing we wanted to do on a Monday, no less, was fire up a show and go, those things we talked about last week haven't been fixed. Let's take some emails.
Right. Like, completely honest with you, the way the sausage is made, we looked at this and we were like, we've got news about cheaters being banned, which is good news, servers being down all of Sunday, which is bad news, and then EA stock, which is nothing but horrible news.
Yeah. Video game stock in general is a pretty big bummer topic right now.
Yeah.
But I would have talked about my noob queue kind of losing its luster because I'm sick of people leaving. It's all fun and games to Lifeline solo hide out in Array until the end of the game and get second place, but I'm sick of being alone.
And I just want to keep fighting you on noob queue. It doesn't exist. You're a crazy person. And
it does exist. I streamed it.
No,
Sunday.
it doesn't.
Sunday night.
No.
I got a VOD right here. Multiple times in the VOD, I call for Garrett Winesroll to watch this VOD and see the things I see.
Dude, I still look at this morning. I was in multiple games in a row where like the champion had 3 kills, and then I got one where it's like 3,000 kills, and it's just like I think it's just random, man.
Maybe it's just the solo queue. Maybe that's it.
Maybe there is. I will tell you this: like I haven't solo queued in a while, and this morning I was just like, get in there and have my friends around, let me do it. I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. It was some of the worst experiences I've ever had. Just people intentionally dropping at the farthest corner of the map, even though you went to Market or you went to Skulltown or you went to Cascades. They're just, if you got like, it's just like this trolley bullshit and it's driving me nuts. Stop doing it. And levers everywhere, dude.
It's such a shame because that's the most exciting part of the game for me is when somebody goes down and you have this permission to go wild. You're always maintaining cover, not walking out in the open, listening closely. But the second an ally goes down, you go, all right, either this is going to be a 2v3 for the rest of the game or we get real crazy right now and see if we can cook something awesome up. And instead, they just take off. And it's disappointment incarnate. And you're right about the solo droppers. I don't know what they're hoping to accomplish. I think they want all the loot for themselves. Maybe it's a Mirage thing. At least that's my odd tradition that's happened. Maybe I think they.
Oh my God! It was a Mirage. It was a Mirage in all my games too. You're right.
Yeah, they have a stealth. They have an ult. So maybe they just think that they'll get horribly, awesomely looted by the time they match up with you, and all those illusions along the way will guard them home.
Maybe they're role-playing the D-bag character that Mirage is.
Maybe.
Because if you do that, you're a D-bag.
That's fair.
It's very strange, man. I agree with everything you've been saying about solo queue, except for that it is like a noob queue. I still don't think it exists. But everything else you've been talking about, man, like this morning I played quite a few games, and it was a really poor experience.
Sure. It's a 3v3 v3 game. It's a squad game. It needs that squad. There aren't lanes and XP and all these like manufactured objectives and things along the way that bring people together.
I mean, I would argue it needs a studio to develop deterrents for playing like a total idiot.
Well, there is a report on Xbox alone, which is interesting. You can report levers only on Xbox.
All right. Can we get that in these other games or other platforms?
I don't see why not. I mean, it is interesting. It's an interesting fact of the game that they perhaps might need to construct things like drops. It's laser beam shooting up in the sky. Everyone goes, ooh, I want what's in the box. And it brings people together and it causes fights and it causes things. And now I've just immediately got to break what I'm saying and say, what the heck is the red zone in PUBG?
The red zone?
It's like a red zone that shows up randomly all the time.
Oh, that's when you get bombarded by bombs from the sky.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. Perfectly explained to me by the mobile app I played last night.
Okay. Oh, you played on... okay. So I know why, because we just got news yesterday that Apex Legends, they are working on a mobile version.
Exactly. And I tried to get Fortnite, but I have an Android. And maybe I have a special kind of Android, my Google Fi phone. It would not work there. It simply wasn't supported. So I couldn't play Fortnite mobile. I tried PUBG mobile.
Okay. Well, you played the better game. Congrats.
Maybe. My original point there being that maybe in a solo queue environment, there needs to be something that brings people together so that the patience isn't the strategy of the hour, because this game does take a lot of patience. And if not patience, then an autopilot of playing so much that you realize how dangerous it is to run across an open field. And having now played at least the mobile version of PUBG, maybe Apex is a little unique compared to Fortnite and PUBG, because there is a lot of cover. And in PUBG, there are vast open fields of nothing. It's like a Civil War battlefield. Everyone chose to show up in a very flat space on a summer day, because otherwise the armies couldn't find each other. It's because there's no radios yet.
It's part of what I really like about that game, and the way that the zone can screw you in ways beyond just killing you because you got caught by the zone. The zone can also push you in directions that you do not want to go, because that is a death box and that is an open field. And the sniping game is much more regular and frequent in PUBG.
The circle also is a lot faster, I think, because it gives you vehicles and says,
yes,
F you, scrub, for not finding a vehicle yet.
Yes, absolutely. And it's another, and that there's a cool push and pull in PUBG as well, because of how massive the map is. Taking a vehicle and the sound that it creates gives your position away, much the same way shooting would. But you, in certain cases, are required to utilize a vehicle to just get where you're going without dying to the zone. Which I really like about that. I like the ebb and flow of silent and then insanity that comes with PUBG. But I just prefer the way Apex plays. It's just a really satisfying game to play. The way mobility works, the way you get this kind of kit on your character. So, like, you know, even if you don't find a weapon, there's still something you can do. I really like in Apex. But there's still something about PUBG, even though I haven't played it in quite a while. I gotta say, really getting the itch to kind of revisit it. There's a lot about PUBG I still really enjoy. So, but I've never been a mobile player of these games, but I find that I'm fascinated by the existence of mobile versions of these games.
Sure.
And while I am, again, I've never been a big mobile gamer. Period. Even with a game like Hearthstone, which plays just fine on mobile, you're not really missing out on anything when you play Hearthstone on mobile.
I would disagree, but you know. That's because I don't have good finger aim, perhaps, and I don't like deck construction.
Fair. Okay, yeah, I mean, misclicks are a lot more prominent, but overall, the difference in quality from Hearthstone PC to Hearthstone mobile, minor compared to trying to control a shooter on your phone versus trying to control your shooter with a mouse and keyboard. But at the same time, I look at it, you know, I look at PUBG, I look at Fortnite mobile, and I instantly in my brain, I just go, oh yeah, I'm not interested in it because of my age, because of where I am in life. You know, I can just play games at home. I don't have to spend half my day at school. Also because of, you know, what I do for a living, you know, my game time is more accessible during all hours of the day, depending on how I kind of craft my schedule for the day, right? But I could totally see myself, if I was in grade school, if I was in high school, I would be playing the crap out of these games on my phone, because I'd have nothing better to do at lunch. This would have blown my mind if I was younger.
Sure, it's what you have access to while you're around. Wi-Fi, or even just a cellular connection, if we're talking across the world, might be more available than a straight up, you know, Ethernet plug-in for a desktop that you have to set up and take up space in the room and all this sort of thing. You know, there are a lot of advantages to playing on a phone. And I was instantly really good at it, which was kind of funny because of my experience playing shooters in N64. Like, honestly, consoles will make you really good at mobile shooters because it's all about framing in the general direction of the thing and then walking back and forth locked onto that thing until it lines up with the thing you're trying to aim at.
Are you sure you weren't good? Because have you actually played against real people yet? Because when you start PUBG Mobile, your first few games are against bots.
Then I had teammates that were real people then?
I believe so. I believe that's the way it works. Did it
make up fake bot names
that
were also in foreign languages?
I don't think so.
Okay. I honestly don't know.
Okay, yeah, because your first few games are against bots.
All I know is that I was in my underwear and everyone else was dressed.
But wasn't that I mean, that's your choice, isn't it? I don't think you load into the game in your underwear. I think you have to take your clothes off on purpose.
No, I definitely didn't have any clothes.
Oh, okay. All right, fair. Maybe I
was supposed to buy a skin pack or open my first loot box or something. I mean,
they definitely give you clothes. They definitely give you clothes to start off with.
No clothes, man. No clothes. I called myself Geralt. I gave myself white hair and a face beard. Like, I ran in there and did my best. And I got 4 kills.
Wait, you named your PUBG character after Gerald of River?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's great. So you are Gerald running around in whitey tighty shooting people with an M16.
I very quickly killed a guy who had a trench coat and a helmet, and I took those things, and then I ran as fast as I could, but you can't run out the blue. I guess I was supposed to get a car, and I died. But I totally see the appeal. I mean, we're talking. Let's be honest here. We're talking nebulously. We're talking even down to this because we do have access to a superior version of these games, and to lose that much accuracy is insane. It's very interesting though to me that I tweeted out that I was trying out PUBG Mobile to talk about what a mobile shooter is like on the upcoming Apex, and the first response I got was, "Oh, sorry. Oh, that's rough. Why'd you put yourself through that kind of business?" And we do have a very, very strong stigma against mobile, even though I think we all accept that as children, foreign countries, whatever it may be, that your life is better supported on a phone for gaming. That is a perfectly fine device for it.
Also, I would say that people that are following us are most likely PC gamers and are going to have a very strong bias against mobile games.
Coming from a podcasting background of strategy, RTS, and MOBAs, we're a little locked into computer.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not the type of person to instantly just dump on mobile. For me, it's just not for me because I have a PC and I work from home.
And I tried Vainglory as well because I was curious what a MOBA would look like in this sort of mobile setting, and it was okay. You have your 2 little sort of radial discs that you're using to move. You have the Batman problem, except for it's not Batman, it's your freaking thumbs that are taking up half the screen. And you're like, oh God, can't I get these things out of the way? It's like people are like, I love my new tablet, and they're drawing on. I'm like, your hand is in the way. I would rather have a tablet on a computer where my hand magically disappears. My big man hands were getting in the way. It was awful. But I know the accuracy I have with a mouse and keyboard, and that, as a better player of MOBAs, drove me way more nuts. I was way more accepting of a shooter where I have less skills.
Okay. I can follow all that, man. But yeah, I think this is good. It's good for Apex in the long run, right?
Yes, it is. And it's going into foreign markets where this will be perhaps a more lucrative way to play the game and increase exposure. And I do wonder how many people play something like Fortnite Mobile, go, oh, yeah, okay, neat. Why don't I try this for realsies? Why don't I load up it on my Xbox that takes a bigger install or more of an investment? Why don't I try this on computer?
Yeah. I mean, because whether you like mobile games or not, it's more or less proven that this is a successful or a smart move for a lot of games right now, like this, especially the battle royale genre. We've seen it work for Fortnite. We've seen it work for PUBG. So it's just the kind of thing I look at like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Frankly, I thought we would have heard this news a lot sooner. Although now, in hindsight, knowing that the speed at which Apex Legends is moving, now it makes sense. This is about the speed at which I would expect to get this now, knowing what I know now.
And that conversation hasn't stopped. It's been ongoing daily for basically a month now, in pure light of everybody. But it's interesting how even from last week, our conversation has continued to evolve to point out more studios that are having crunch issues, that are overworked. And now it's even spread into streaming, which is a fascinating aspect of it, that we've all made our own bed here, expecting, I'm not going to say that anyone's, privileged or being a brat about it. That's ridiculous. If you have a banana every day, you're going to expect a banana every day. And when you get no banana, you go, what gives? And your body's going to be like, oh, fiber. Like, it just happens. It's natural.
It's a good way to put it. I mean, the conversation about burnout and streaming or just content creation in general, it comes and goes. I feel fairly regularly. But now it seems to be getting also batched in with this conversation around crunch, which I think makes a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely. If gamers who stream are there every day, and if they're not there every day, they're losing money. So they want to maintain those long hours, burnout hits. They end up game jumping between things. I think it's fascinating what someone like Dr. Disrespect is doing right now, in that he does like the 3-3-3 challenge, or maybe it's a 2-2-2 challenge. Either way, he game jumps, and once he gets 2-3 victories, he moves on to the next one. And it's a brilliant idea in order to entertain yourself, but it definitely shows how sticking to one game is just taxing.
Well, it all feeds into the same challenge that I think the game industry is facing. Most streamers build their personal brand on the back of a single game, off of maining a game, and that ties into this cycle of crunch, this cycle of constant iteration and new features that is now coming out into the public, that it's a real problem for the gaming industry, and it all perpetuates itself. And even if you're not a streamer or whatever, I find a lot of just players tend to main games. But for me, personally, like I look back on it and I'm like, I find most games difficult to main. I don't think anything's been as mainable as World of Warcraft was back in its heyday. Everything else, I look at it like, oh, this there's not enough here for me to want to main a game as much as I did that game back then. So I don't know. It's weird. Like, in a perfect world, it would be nice if we didn't expect streamers to stream 12 hours a day, right? Like, if it became more of the norm that you're streaming, that your favorite streamers are 3-6 hour day, 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week, batches, and that games were maybe more at Apex Legends speed in terms of their updates and less like Fortnite, because it doesn't seem like it is sustainable, at least not if you want to have a good quality of life for your developers.
Right. It's fascinating that esports is also tied into this. I think so many streamers would love a more Tonight Show kind of schedule where you prep all day, you do an hour, bam, you're done. People record it, they watch it later. They don't need you live. Interaction has definitely influenced that. And esports, for a casual audience, is tough because it goes 8 hours a day. Even Twitch Rivals, I was like, oh, neat. Twitch produces its own Apex Legends content. Oh my God. It's 8 hours.
It's a big investment for sure. I mean, then we get into a larger discussion just about the general split in content creation, right? I think you have, for most people, are you a streamer or are you like a YouTuber, right? And then there's us on the fringe. I feel like we're like, if it was Star Wars, we're out in the.
Hey, we have an important spot. People have busy hands and busy eyeballs. You got to operate that car. You got to do that data entry. I'm glad we're here for you.
Right, but we're on the outer rim, I think. But for most people, I think there's that divide unless you're really big and you can like afford to have an editor. And it's like, well, I'm going to stream, and then you're going to edit and make shorter, digestible YouTube content for my YouTube audience. But for most people, it's one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily, like, a lot of times, I don't think produced content takes any less time than streaming. At the end of the day, it's very close to, I think, the same amount of time invested.
Definitely. Oh, I agree. I think that there is a different level of burnout with prep work that can subside that incoming feeling of crunch. But you're absolutely right. The time investment is nearly the same. And that goes into our other topic here, which is the one we're sort of dancing around because we don't want to just, beat the dead horse. But Apex is coming up in all of these conversations because they pledged to be slow. And that is fascinating. This game is the example to what developers can do and can be and could be willing to say to their audiences. The problem is we all want our bananas now.
Right. And what I, as a fan of this game, am sitting here hoping for is for this to be... EA has multiple image problems right now.
Yes.
The one I would like to focus on, because it supports my argument, is the one that they do not give a crap and pull devs off of certain games to just throw them at a different game because whatever, it failed, let's move on, instead of trying to fix what didn't work.
Right.
Case in point, Anthem, which it looks like it happened in the past during its development, and it looks like it's happening again now post-launch.
Not only that, but we have a new tool for investment, and it's called the roadmap. And that is your way, not only in words and Reddit posts and community managers, to maintain your audience and keep their investment high. You say, here are the dates of the things when they're going to come out. And those are new types of promises that gamers have been given. And now those promises are getting broken left and right by all these different games. When a roadmap was a new form. We'll do a date night. And we're like, well, you've broken dates in the past. And the roadmap was the new, but I love you. And now they're breaking the I love you part.
I mean, Apex didn't give specific dates in their roadmap, did they? Or I guess they did. But that's for Season 2. So Season 2 is coming up rapidly according to their roadmap.
Right. And that's where I think the conversation is against and for Apex at the same time. They were very smart that they made the choice to put it as a season-based content role. And they have broken no promises. The elephant in the room here, though, is that we hear plans for mobile, we say fix your game, and we feel like it's falling on deaf ears. Why expand when we need to focus?
Yeah. Plus, I'm still looking at Season 1 being like, where's that new weapon?
It's in Bloodhound's hands. He's standing there in the picture with it.
It's not in the game. And that didn't come in with Season 1. That's been in that picture. It's been in the game since it launched.
Have you played enough Bloodhound? Maybe it's in there somewhere. Just for him.
It's not. It's just not. So that's the other thing too, is that while they didn't specifically state when a new weapon would be coming during Season 1, Season 2 is supposed to land in June. Or in May. Mm-hmm. Where's that new weapon?
We don't know.
Yeah. And then also my gripes that, I would also, it wasn't said in here, but I would expect changes and features or just quality of life improvements that you add to your game during this bit would be, they would work as intended. And if they didn't, they would be fixed in a timely fashion, which, looking at you, issues with the damage reduction on our thick boys that is still broken in game and hasn't been addressed.
Right. There was also the lag, the sound issues we're hearing across. I see them mostly from PS4 users, but sound's a little important in this game and being able to locate enemies. Yeah.
Which is another reason I really want you to try PUBG, because the way that sound direction in that game works is, I think, vastly superior to Apex Legends.
Well, it alerts you on the mini-map. Is that what you're talking about?
No, just the direction of footsteps. You can actually tell where they're coming from, as opposed to Apex Legends. Half the damn time, it's like, oh, it's my teammate, and it sounds like they're to my left, but they're actually in front of me.
I have shot many a teammate. It does feel like someone put a bucket on your head and they just take 2 spoons and just sometimes. Like, wait,
yeah.
what? Where?
Yeah. The only sound in the game that gives me real information as to where someone is the sound of someone on the roof of Market. That's the only time where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can tell someone's above me.
Now, I would say that's memorization because I feel the same way about artillery. Artillery, I have mapped out in my head, and I have a general knowledge of an echo from downstairs and what that means.
I'm being a little extreme here. Yeah, there's other places. Vertical sound seems to work very well in Apex, but like being on the same plane and trying to get direction from that doesn't work very well in Apex, in my opinion. But whatever the case is, it's still a big conversation. It's interesting with Apex, but they've done nothing in the past week to kind of instill any more faith in their ability to execute on the quality they seem to be preaching.
Right. And it doesn't really matter to this conversation whether or not developers for Apex Legends on consoles and PC moves anybody over to mobile. That's not really the conversation we're having. It's just the cadence of things and where the priorities lie for a company, which is in mobile. And we're going to reach this next E3. We're going to reach BlizzCon this year, and we're all in for, it's not even a rude awakening anymore. You fell asleep again because there wasn't a game you wanted, and now they're going to wake you up again and be like, hey, mobile's coming, and you're going to go, please let me sleep.
Yeah, well, we also have, we have EA Play coming up June 8th and 9th. It's a big EA event happening at the Hollywood Palladium.
That's right, yeah.
Which I would imagine, because it's in June and at the speed Apex is going, I would not expect Season 2 to just drop as soon as we get into June. I think we're probably going to get an announcement about Season 2 there.
And we're going to see some flashy things. I expect that to come with the map, the character, the weapon, all in one big celebratory pile.
A second map would go a very long way, I feel, with this particular game. To kind of quelling any issues with burnout. Because when you have a game like this, I can tell you that certainly seemed the case with me when PUBG got its second map. But I know a lot of players at the time were just like, oh, I can't stand it. But over time, for me, it added a lot to that game. It added a huge amount of diversity because this is a game, in the case of Apex and back in the day with PUBG, these were games where for a very long time, we were all playing on only one map. You add a second one and suddenly there's twice as much variance in your gameplay.
Well, in particular, that King's Canyon is a really unique style of Battle Royale map. It's got multiple biodomes. They all tend around the same thing. You got your markets and your skull towns that can cause these really tight claustrophobic fights. But in terms of big open areas, you are at a pretty big detriment. Yet that is what you find in something like PUBG constantly. Granted, vehicles and things like that help you traverse those areas. It'd be great to see what a smaller, tighter, more layered Apex Legend map would be, particularly with no fall damage. It'd be a lot of fun. And what would be a more open field.
I was about to say, it's funny that you're saying for a smaller, tighter, whereas I'm going like, I want bigger, more wide open, more traditional, what I think of when I think of things like PUBG. I want big open spaces. I want a sniper map.
I think that'd be good. That'd be fine.
Yeah, because
I'd like other ways to traverse. I think the rocket boost up the tube, the rope to the balloon would get shot in more open areas. It already gets you in quite a bit of danger.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'd like to see some kind of something similar to the jump pad from Octane, but that just kind of shoots you up with the jetpack, so you can kind of arc your jetpack. You get upward momentum, but you're already in jetpack mode, and you have some control over where you're going.
I mean, even an anime runner launcher would be a lot of fun.
Anime runner launcher?
Like the Hulk, the roller coaster. You load up into a thing and like, woo, then you launch off with some sort of bonus speed.
Kind of more or less what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'd like to see something like that. You're right, because if we had a more open map, those would be supremely dangerous.
Yeah.
You could also, I guess, kind of place them strategically where maybe they have a little more cover than usual.
Right. You've got to build a railway system with them so that you can get around the map while increasing the size of it.
Yeah.
And heck, while we're at it, more players, less players on certain maps, solo queue, duo queue, all those things that people would love to have.
Yep. But anyways, in other news, since we last spoke, we did have the news come out about just how many cheaters have been banned. Turns out 770,000 cheaters have been banned.
That's a couple.
It's quite a few. Drew McCoy posted an update about kind of the state of the actions they've been taking against cheaters. That's where that figure came from. They also announced that they had blocked over 300,000 account creations. That's what I like to hear. That the cheaters aren't being overly successful with just re-entering the game. They're just starting a new account and getting back in and doing the same thing again. And then they're also going after cheat seller accounts or spammers. Over 4,000 accounts have been banned for that offense just in the last 20 days, according to Respawn. So I really like that. They said overall that total matches on PC impacted by cheaters or spammers has been reduced by over half in the last month. That's good. I mean, it's nothing but good to hear that they're being successful. And I have not been encountering more cheaters, which you should probably be able to tell just by my complaints at the top of the show. It was about just people being jerks and leaving and solo dropping and just being all around trolls versus cheaters.
Yeah, the cheater thing is hugely fixed in my own experience. The best thing they've done to the game outside of stopping the cheaters was increase the speed of the dropship. That is just huge for actually spreading people out. And now that we've gotten rid of the cheaters, we don't all launch in one big pile. Cheaters take out all but two parties, and then we wander around randomly until, time brings us together. I think that these two changes together made a much healthier game.
Absolutely. I'm with you. The dropship speed increase is, I think, the best update that's come to the game.
Yeah.
Now, let's work on punishing leavers.
I think that's fair.
You have, I would argue, Respawn, you have successfully dealt with the worst offenders in this game. Let's move on to the more nuanced offenses like leaving games.
One could say that those people desire solo queue, though, and we might be able to facilitate their needs with another game mode.
Yeah, but
what about a balloon popping game?
What?
Yeah, you go down and balloons start floating up and you pop the balloons. What if they're just bored, Garrett?
Okay. Sure. My brain went to more topical concerns of adding a new game mode if the headlines of the downturn of this game are true.
Well, yes, yeah, because then you're dividing the player base. You're having matchmaking problems match population problems, I should say. Matchmaking, not exactly a thing.
No, it's still getting in the game super quick. It's just how many players are currently taking a break is my question. And if you were to add a second game mode, would it bring people back or would it divide the player base? I can't imagine that a game like this has lost that many players, though. Because you and I, the other game-specific show we do is about a game called Heroes of the Storm, which is a very small population by comparison.
I think for now, Apex services the needs of old Halo players or people who enjoy this more refined, would you even say realistic kind of shooter experience. I think the Apex Legend killer on the horizon, population-wise, and for a time, could be Halo on PC.
I'm sorry, I lost that train of thought. What about Halo?
Just that the people who enjoy Apex, I find also enjoy Halo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Halo shooter fans do not enjoy PUBG, Fortnite kind of game styles. It's clunky. The third person's weird. It's a different type of aggression.
Yeah, but PUBG and Fortnite are very different in the way that they play.
Sure.
But you have you're not wrong. I think there's a lot of people who loved Halo that found themselves coming to Apex and maybe finding themselves enjoying a battle royale for the first time. At the same time, there's plenty of players who came to it as battle royale fans already. I count myself among those. I do like Halo. It's one of my favorite games ever. But I was more of a campaign fan. I did spend a lot of time playing multiplayer with my friends, but once it kind of jumped to online, I didn't play online Halo all that much. And now it seems archaic to me.
Yeah.
So when Halo hits PC, if I'm feeling a little burnout on Apex Legends, I don't see myself making the jump into Halo online PvP.
No. But that to me is also just like a tradition. That's a muscle man competition. It can't be done online. That was about time and place in college and friends showing up randomly in each other's dorm rooms and being like, let's connect the Xboxes. And oh my God, are you really that amazing kid from New Mexico? Yes, I
am. Smash Brothers is very much the same thing for me.
Exactly. Who am I dueling? Why? There's no story here to me. I do not desire to go online with Super Smash Bros.
Right. Exactly. So Smash has kind of played out for me in the same way Halo multiplayer has because of just how much my life has changed.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Those games were big for me.
I feel like a lot of that's just our own faults because those glory days were so glorious. Like, I mean, Unreal Tournament, StarCraft LAN parties, Counter-Strike was like that for me as well.
StarCraft made the jump for me, obviously, because StarCraft 2 it just lived online and also didn't allow you to LAN. But yeah, whatever the case. Somehow we ended up here when talking about cheaters. Good on you, Respawn.
Great job. Like it.
Yep. Servers were down Sunday. Got nothing to say about that. EA stock is down to the surprise of no one. Let's take an email or two. If you want to write in, be a part of the show.
It was Sunday, EA.
Yep.
Kind of an important day.
Yep. If you want to write into the show, it's amovetv@gmail.com, or you can join the AMove Discord and drop some questions in there by going to bit.ly/amovediscord. Murray writes in and says, hey guys, big fan of the End of the Apex podcast and Apex Legends itself. Before that, I dumped endless hours of play into Titanfall, probably my favorite game ever. Wow. And Titanfall 2. I have a comment about your discussion on the L-Star. This is quite a ways back. If you look at the cover of the game, Bloodhound is actually holding an L-Star. It would be very much in the Respawn fashion to put it there and then release the gun later. So I think we'll definitely be seeing it later on. Secondly, you guys mentioned the Data-Mined Proto-Hold Beam weapon. Immediately, the charge rifle comes to mind. The charge rifle was a fantastic anti-Titan weapon in both Titanfalls that also did great damage to pilots, which if you didn't play Titanfall was your player character when you're not in a Titan, which is just a traditional shooter dude, and was extremely accurate even over long distances. I used it quite a bit, and I think it would make a great addition to the game. Keep doing what you guys do, and I'll keep tuning in to every episode. Thanks for everything, Marty. The charge rifle was great and was like complete YouTube highlight reel fodder because there were better, more efficient guns to win a pilot versus pilot shootout. But the charge rifle had this wind up, kind of like, well, no, because that doesn't have a wind up. If you get the sniper add-on for the Havoc, there's no wind up on it. It just fires.
Yeah.
But there's this wind up on the charge rifle, like this delay, kind of like the Spartan laser in Halo. That makes
you're talking like heavy minigun from Team Fortress.
No, not at all.
Some sort of like, and then we reach maximum spinach.
No, because that's fully automatic. This is a single shot. So you hit the trigger, hold, it charges up, and then goes bzz, like a single shot goes out.
Like Eraser, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
I don't remember that movie at all, so I can't.
How can you not remember it? Dude, it's fabulous.
Of all the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Eraser and Commando are the two I've only seen once.
All right, well, one he pets a deer in, the other they shoot like rebarb through walls.
Fair. Okay, you're describing a railgun.
Yes, a railgun.
Yeah, similar, but again, railgun's a very specific thing. Yeah, charge. There's a charge up delay, and then it fires a single bolt. That's the charge rifle. And I loved it as an anti-Titan weapon in Titanfall because I could actually hit it. I was terrible at hitting pilots with this thing.
The pinning was the best part. And also in Half-Life 2, you had the crossbow that would stick dudes to walls.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that was sweet.
So we need that feature if we're going to be shooting things.
I'm now running a Google search for Eraser Railgun. Oh, what a delightfully 90s design.
Oh, it was fabulous. If I remember correctly, it was also shot by an EMP or something ridiculous like that because everything was an EMP. It was The Matrix and Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11 had it. It was a big plot point in that horrible movie Broken Arrow was it Christian Slater and versus John Travolta, I believe, in that movie.
Also, there was a Modern Warfare with a EMP that went off in space.
Yes. Also, I think it may have happened in 2 at one point, just in a city. But
probably.
Anyways.
Because I mean, at least Batman Begins didn't have an EMP, but that it basically did the same thing. It was like an EMW.
It was a water EMP.
Yeah, just blew up water, and then everyone got high.
Yeah. But I would love to see the charge rifle come to Apex, and the L-Star it's all but confirmed at this point.
Yeah.
So should be making it in at one point or another. I expected to see it by now. But here we find ourselves. Not in the game yet, but bring it on. I like the L-Star. It's a good game.
Right. We're based in the Titanfall universe. In fact, while playing through Titanfall 2, there was the Apex sort of mercenary gang that you're running into. And I'm kind of like, oh, Apex, rough and tumble, people killing each other in arena thing. Yeah, maybe they both are from the same lore. I'm honestly surprised we didn't just see more guns just planted in already, ready to roll.
Yeah.
They're campaign guns, some guns like aim through walls, and like when you think of Doom, the most recent one, just Doom, there's like shotguns that fire mini missiles and all sorts of cool crap like that I just love, that probably I would never want to have in a multiplayer shooter.
Yeah. And so before we take the next email, I just want to say that sometimes there's a fun dichotomy in people writing into podcasts where their email is very serious and brings up some great points that I want to talk about. And yet your name that you sign your email with kind of belies the seriousness of your email. And so with that in mind, I'm going to now continue by saying Reeferoni420 writes in and says, my favorite podcast on Spotify right now, all caught up now with today's episode. Well, thank you, Reeferoni. I wanted to touch on the idea of the new Thunderdome being a PvP arena. It seems to me that the devs created every location in Kings Canyon so that they could be made into first-person shooter standard PvP maps for deathmatch, CTF, King of the Hill, etc. While it doesn't seem likely that Respawn would do this, do you think they might implement a game mode where the individual locations serve as PvP arena, or some kind of race-style battle royale where you are directed from location to location and every checkpoint the person in last place dies? That last one seems interesting, although people would die rapidly if you were being funneled into the same location over and over again. I don't know how you would do that and make the game last past 2 or 3 locations.
It is interesting.
Unless
and
you
certainly,
I'm trying to think. Unless you dropped people in multiple corners, like you did 4 squads to 4 different locations and slowly funneled them towards each other somehow.
They bring up one of the things I think is amazing about Apex, and that each of those biodomes I mentioned earlier is unique and really has a flavor to it, even if it comes down to, why doesn't this tarp move when I stand on it in Skulltown? It doesn't matter. It's all about levels there, and that's what makes it different from Market, or what is the one that's past Runoff that's like Skulltown but long?
Oh,
is that Runoff?
It's not Runoff. I completely forget the name, man. I'm sorry.
That place I die a lot. and I don't like with the ravines.
Yeah, I'm pulling up a map real fast. Forget Slum Lakes. Jeez.
Slum Lakes.
My God, I like Slum Lakes. I've had some really good fights there.
The name sounds disappointing. I think I prefer Slum Lakes if we go to airbase from it and we head north. What I hate is when the team, we go into Slum Lakes and we end up doing the waterfall trek, which just feels awful and open, and then you make it to Cascades that's already looted, and it's just a bad time.
Oh, I prefer going from Slum Lakes to Pit and then going through that one weird little structure that's north of Bunker to over to Cascades. I don't. I hate the river. Is such a terrible place to traverse. I hate. You know my stance on the river.
Right. My like theming in my head is like waterfall. Waterfalls make noise. I could do this secretive. How cool would that be? But it doesn't really work out.
Yeah. Yep.
But I do think that this is a cool idea. I am, because perhaps of my childhood in the mountains of New Mexico, which has trees, by the way. Let me just throw that out there for the theming in your mind, mental theater picture. There are trees in the mountains. It's not all desert. We played Capture the Flag up in those woods in the mountains with rocks exposed and water, coming down the creeks and stuff. And it was bad ass. And every time any game, regardless of what the mode is like, we have a Capture the Flag. I'm like, oh my God, yes. And then there's things like World of Warcraft where you're like, oh no, this gets a little weird and complicated and CCs pile on and things get a little wacky. Or if you're talking like vanilla Warsong Gulch, you just have druids do all the running, and it's wacky in a different way. Nowadays it's Cloak of Shadows rogues doing it and whatnot.
I am the opposite. I never really enjoyed Capture the Flag in any game except for World of Warcraft.
What about Steal the Bacon? Did you ever play that in like grade school?
No.
Steal the Bacon was just Capture the Flag, except for there's 3 flags in one pile.
Oh, I don't. No. If I did, I don't remember it.
It's fun. And I would love Apex to have a Capture the Flag mode.
I'm trying to remember what the mode is called in Call of Domination. Domination in Call of Duty is my favorite classic way to play a shooter, where there's control points, typically 3, and you have to kind of stand in the zone to take it over. And so you have these essentially 3 hot zones where it's a lot more likely a fight is going to break out, and areas in between are a little safer to traverse.
That reminds me of Battlefield 1942, which was very much about point control.
Okay. Yeah, I was never a big Battlefield player. It was more of a Call of Duty
First of all, I think Battlefield 1942 had like 2 songs, but they were all fantastic. It was just a great soundtrack, first of all. Second of all, when you took one of these points, that became your new spawn point. So you felt like you were actually advancing across the map. And sometimes your spawn point would start out on a battleship and just fly planes around. Like, computer came, dummies, and crash into land and stuff. And it was great. But there's one feature of it that would not fly at all in today's modern game sphere, which I think is hilarious. It used to just go, someone left the other side. This match is meant to be even. Boop, we're just going to pick you up and move you to the other team.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine as long as you're obviously not grouped with friends. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Right, if you're just having fun and you just want to kill and have a good time. In fact, I really enjoyed it because sometimes you'd be dominating across the map and then to do an auto, organization, and you end up on the defense. And I always enjoyed defense more when it comes to these things. So pushing back was more fun again. And I get to be on the winning side for a bit, then defend. And it was a great solo experience in 2000. What? I probably got these dates wrong in my head. Probably like 3.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. But it's specifically to Reef's points here, like, I could see them doing something like this in a different type of like brawl or like fun mode where there's the arcade and Overwatch, and there's brawl and things like Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm and even World of Warcraft now. But these fun game modes that kind of shift in and out, they kind of just have some fun with what they can do within their engine. Not game modes I personally enjoy, but clearly there are players out there that do like them. So that's where I would see this happening. I just can't see Apex leaning towards more traditional FPS deathmatch. They already did that with Titanfall, and frankly, if they did that, I would rather go play Titanfall. I think Titanfall 2 has the best, more traditional FPS deathmatch that I have ever played.
I think that Battle Royale is the natural evolution of deathmatch. And the reason why we wouldn't do it is because we go backwards. It was very random. And why break that randomness when we already have such a random mode that facilitates this feeling, this reward center that we're getting better with these new, if you want, like high calorie matches. Yeah, we can all go back to, bread every day and maybe stealing an egg from a nest. But we got cheeseburgers, so let's just keep eating cheeseburgers at this point. Let me introduce one more idea to you, and this is actually one that comes from, you could call it two-headed giant, but it's 2v2 chess. And I love 2v2 chess. It is awesome. Whenever you take a piece from the enemy side, you put it in a pool, and the other player may use their turn, your teammate, to place that on their half of the board. So if you take the queen, your ally could end up with 2 queens.
I've never played this, but recently I was made aware of it with an interview with some Hearthstone pros, and one of the pros said that they would like to see a mode like this out of the Hearthstone.
Yeah,
it sounded
where you facilitate someone else's hand.
So how would you apply this to Apex Legends?
The way I would do it would be another way to spawn in these sort of games. By taking out an enemy player you can get someone out of your jail in that way.
Interesting.
A different way to respawn, because the danger of getting to the box, running to the beacon might not facilitate everybody's fantasies. I love it. I think it's a dangerous move. I think the respawn beacons are put in very aggressive spots, of course, where the airship can be seen. It increases the danger. You're being squirrely. The weird thing about this is the problem we have in things like MOBAs, where it's the difference between team fighting and farming. And one is a farm activity that's going to facilitate a very different kind of player base than the people who really want to shoot each other all the time. And maybe that's why we're seeing such a weird issue with people leaving so quickly, because it's boring to be down. Or what I had happen to me 2 days ago, where we won a team fight. I was down crawling, bleeding out, and my teammates were all looting the entire time. They geared up on all this, these piles of 5 boxes around us from this big long team fight, and I'm dying on the ground. Eventually, having to ping the ground. I want to be good. I want to be a good teammate and be like, you're gonna come get me, but they're not, and I nearly die. And they finally come over and res me up, and there's nothing left in the box. I got no ammo, no armor.
I mean, I don't think we necessarily need to completely change the way the game and its respawn mechanics works, because some people are just jerks. But
sure,
yeah, it could be a fun additional game mode, and Apex just seems kind of ready for something like this. PUBG, I remember when they added, I believe it was just called War. They had a War event, and they added this mode called War, which had respawning. The zone was like set to a fixed size. It was very small. You would all drop into the same kind of general area and just have it out, and it felt more like a traditional deathmatch, but you still had like the looting mechanics of PUBG, and it was fun as hell. They probably still bring it in and out. I haven't played in a while, but I remember when it was added, I was just like, respawn and PUBG, I don't know if this is going to work, but it was really fun. And some of the multiple events that they've had in PUBG that I have played, I've really liked. They have some massive team size events where you go in with just huge teams versus another huge team, and it's just bananas. And I'd like to see some stuff like that brought into Apex. It could be really interesting.
And bringing up something like that, those are the comeback moments for players, because I have a lot of friends who just haven't touched this game since its initial heyday, who want to play again. And when they see me playing, they go, hey, Kyle's playing that game we used to have fun in. I would love to join him, but I feel like I'm going to ruin his experience. And as wacky and ridiculous, and I know both of us as players, a brawl sort of mode is just like, no, pass, I want to get good, son. Those sort of events might facilitate returns.
Yeah, you need some kind of casual re-entry, I think, to Apex. So, yeah, but thank you for your email. I'm just going to call you Reef. Thank you, Marty. Keep them coming. amovetv@gmail.com, or join the Discord. over at bit.ly/amove Discord and drop us messages in there. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Kyle, where can everybody find you when you're not talking Apex Legends?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/Kyle Ferguson, where I am now sprinkling in a little Magic the Gathering into my week. It's a healthy little, dusting of some Magic games.
Sweet. We should, I've been wanting to get back to auto chess. We should sprinkle in a little duo queue auto chess into our week.
Oh, I got to do some research if I'm going to keep up with you. You
dude,
grabbed onto that thing.
I'm crap. I'm complete crap. They update that game like crazy. I don't know how you win anymore. We're kind of back on the same level.
All right. Sounds fair.
Yeah, we can get in there and suck together, and we're going to have a great time.
Perfect.
You know what I played last night for the first time? Dead by Daylight.
Really?
Yeah.
That thing's got an esport and all sorts of followings.
It's genius. It's a genius game. I screamed like a little girl. It terrified me to my core, and I'm interested.
It's a 1v4, isn't it?
It's a 1v4, yeah. It's an asymmetrical game.
How fascinating. Particularly after, what was it now? It was 3 years ago already that Evolve came out.
Yeah. And I played 5 games last night. I didn't win once, and I was always a survivor. So, like, the killers were killing us dead. So
yeah,
my interest has been piqued for sure. It's a very cool game. Also, I'm just a horror movie fan, and they're getting all these licenses for all your favorite slasher film killers. So
sure. Well, even the ones they make up, like the Tomb Priestess, that makes you vomit. That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's a very cool game. We should try it sometime. But anyways, folks, I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. If you want to follow me on there, all the shows, including this one, can be found at amove.tv. Currently resurrecting Embrace of Spoilers for a short stint to spoil Game of Thrones. And Let's Talk About Star Wars is back as a weekly podcast, so go subscribe to Let's Talk About Star Wars. Everything else is at amove.tv. Check it out. Plenty of podcasts for you. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode. So until next time, good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care.